Patch 13.1 brought a ton of changes to the game, and Lasercorps benefited a lot from these changes. In this video, I'll teach you how to master this comp by going over the build, what items and augments to take, how to play the early, mid, and late game, and then I'll go over some in-depth positioning examples. The build is not very flexible, because our core units are 6 Lasercorps. They are Zed, Sejuani, Mordekaiser, Renekton, Yasuo, and Senna. And also Zoe to give us Hacker. Zed is our main carry, while Sejuani is our main tank. And at level 8, the most common board is 6 Laser plus Zoe and Echo. Echo grants Prankster and is a really strong tank overall. Hacker is really important because it grants Zed easy access to the backline, and if you can't find Mordekaiser, you replace him with Ashe until you find him. The best hero augments are carry augments for Zed and Sejuani, and support augments for any of the other units on the board. By far the strongest, however, is Zed's support augment. Some other support hero augments that work and allows you to keep them on your late game board are Vi, Blitz, and Vayne. If you want to learn more about hero augments, you can check out my guide where I go in depth on that subject. And I'll also talk more about how you can change up your board based on your augments and emblems and what you add in at level 9 later in the video. But if you are a newer player, just stick to the standard version of the comp and only play that until you get comfortable with the comp. Zed is our main carry, so we prioritize making items for him first. He has one core item, and that is Edge of Night. This allows him to drop aggro when he gets low, and as a melee carry, this is really valuable. The second item always wants to be a damage item. This can be Last Whisper, Hurricane, Deathblade, IE, Titans, Giant Slayer, or Guardbreaker. Last Whisper is strong against defenders and Bramble Vests. Giant Slayer allows him to melt down high health targets, Titans gives him tankiness and damage, Guardbreaker is great against shields. Hurricane, Deathblade, and IE are all around great damage amplifiers. The third item can be a defensive item or a damage item. This can be Last Whisper, Hurricane, Titans, Deathblade, IE, Hodge, BT, GS, QSS, or Guardbreaker. QSS gives him CC immunity, which allows him to easily ramp up with the Duelist trait. Hodge is also good because it can use both AD and AP, and BT is great for the extra sustain if 2 Hacker is not enough healing. After making Zed items, we want to make items for our main tank, who is Sejuani. She uses standard tank items like Warmogs, Bramble, Protector's Vow, or Dragon's Claw. Here are a few example builds for her. She also applies Morello really well, but be careful not to build both Sunfire and Morello because the burn effect don't stack. If you have any leftover items, this comp uses them well. Mordekaiser or Yasuo can take AP items, Senna can take any excess AD items, and you can also give Thieves' Gloves to any of the other units. If you get a Spatula, there are 2 great options. These are Lasercorps and Duelist Spat. If you get Lasercorps, you remove Senna and Echo and add in 2 Duelists, those being Nyla and Vayne, and put the Spat on either of them. This way you have 4 Duelists and still have Hacker for Zed to kill the backline. If you get a Duelist Spat, you put it on Senna and remove Echo for Nyla. This board is very similar to the previous one. The best non-hero augments are Lasercorps Heart, Crest, or Crown, Portable Forge, Component Grab Bag, Thrill of the Hunt, Celestial Blessing, Knife's Edge, Second Wind, Sunfire Board, Duelist Heart, Crest, or Crown, Hacker Heart, Crest, or Crown, Item Grab Bag, and Cybernetic Implants. And out of all those augments I mentioned there, the best ones out of those are Lasercorps Heart, Crest, or Crown, Portable Forge, Thrill of the Hunt, Second Wind, Cybernetic Implants, Knife's Edge, or Duelist Heart, Crest, or Crown. If all that info was a lot to take in, then check out the cheat sheet for this comp. It's available for patrons and YouTube members. Here is the quirky cheat sheet from last set, so you know what to expect for the Lasercorps Zed cheat sheet that is available right now. The carousel priority for this comp is Bow, Chain, Sword, then Belt. And the best opener for this comp is Laser Ashe, but make sure to hold on to duplicate copies of Ashe because we will need her later to hit 6 Lasercorps. Other openers that can also work are Kayle Duelist, Sure Shots, or Camille Renegade. Some good items to slam in the early game are Last Whisper, Hurricane, Warmogs, Redemption, Hodge, Spark, Bramble, Dragon's Claw, and Thieves' Gloves. Be careful about slamming Sunfire because we need a Chain Vest for Edge of Night too. From there, your early game strategy will depend a lot on how good your opener is. In some games you play for a loss streak, and in some games you play for a win streak. And if you want to learn more about how to play the early game, then check out my guide where I go in depth on that subject. After the Crackdown, you should have more direction towards a comp, and the general requirements to play Lasercorps are to have one fully built item for Zed and a component for another one. You always want to hold on to Zed and Sejuani if you're not playing them, and you hold on to the other units as well if you don't lose eco for holding them. If you are weak in the mid game, you have 2 options. You can either roll level 6 or 7 to stabilize, and to stop the bleeding of HP. If you're at level 6, it should be on stage 3 too, where you want to look for a board similar to this. Unfortunately, it is very hard to play 6 laser on level 6 because we need to hit 2 forecasts, so we can play a board that has 3 lasers and that can win rounds instead. If you have to roll at level 7 instead, it can be done on either stage 3-5 or 4-1. Which one you pick depends on how much HP and gold you have. When rolling at level 7, you want to aim for a board like this, where you stabilize off of 6 lasers and Zed and Sejuani 1-star. During the mid game, it's also important to scout. This is so we can see how many other people are playing Zed. This comp can support 2 to 3 people, so if you see one that going for it, then consider pivoting into another comp like Samira or Belveth. On stage 4-1, you want to be level 7, and from here you have 2 different options. You can either roll level 7, or you can go level 8 and roll there. The games where you roll level 7 are when you're 60 to 50 HP or lower, you cannot go level 8 on 4-5, or if a lot of other people are rolling down here as well. The last is the case in most lobbies in set 8, so it's recommended to roll at least a bit here for a board like this. At this point, if you only have Zed 1-star, he absolutely needs Edge of Night, or he will die almost instantly in most fights. After you stabilize, the goal is to go level 8 on stage 5-1 at the latest, so try not to roll below 10 to 20 gold because we need the money to go level 8 later in the game. If you have a lot more gold than normal, then you can go level 8 on 4-2, but at the latest you want to go in on stage 5-1. Here you want to end up with a board like this, where Zed is our main carry and we have 3 secondary carries in Senna, Yasuo, and Mordekaiser who can deal good amount of damage with their spells and some items. Sejuani, Renekton, and Echo give us a strong frontline, and we round out the comp with Zoe who gives us Hacker and Prankster. If you get the Lasercorps spat, you can play this board. For Duelist is also really strong with Lasercorps because the more units attack, the more they can proc the bonus damage. You can put the emblem on either Vayne or Nyla. If you have the option to play 9 Lasercorps, then you should always do that, as the trait has the highest win rate in the game, but the hard part is that it requires +2 laser, which is very hard to obtain. Duelist spat goes on Senna, and we play a board like this. Nyla is the best 4th duelist to add in, because she heals up our frontline with her spell. In the case where you have a Hacker emblem, you can put it on Mordekaiser to give him some Omnivamp. If you don't have any items on him, then you can give the emblem to Yasuo. Depending on what hero augment you get, you can change up the board to fit in the unit. If you get Vi's hero augment, you can play this board, where you swap out Echo for Vi. We only play 3 brawlers, because in this version, it's essential for Zed to have Hacker in, so we don't want to remove any other unit to fit in that 4th brawler. With Blitzcrank support augment, we do the same thing as the previous board, where we only play 3 brawler for the same reason. If the enemy has a single carry comp like Anima MF for example, then we can play 4 brawler, and with good positioning, Blitz will hook in the enemy carry. In this case, we don't have to run Hacker to access the backline, so we can just add in a 4th brawler instead of Zoe. But only do this if the enemy only has a solo carry for the comp. Vayne's support augment is amazing because you get a free Edge of Night with it, which you can put onto Zed. The board with that augment looks something like this, where we remove Yasuo and add in Ashe because Vayne is both a duelist and a recon, and she benefits from both those traits. In this scenario, you should try to put items on her too to play her as a secondary carry. Once you get your board at level 8, you have 2 options from there. The first one is to roll for Zed 3-star. This strategy is very risky, so I'd only do this if you're uncontested, you have a lot of gold after you hit your entire board 2-star on your first level 8 roll down, and you found at least 5 copies of Zed already. From there, make sure to slow roll above 50 gold as long as you can, then roll down to 0 once you get low in HP. Generally though, this strategy is not recommended because Zed is usually very contested. The other option is to go level 9. Here we can add in Leona, a threat like Urgot or Fiddle, LeBlanc, Janna, Aphelios, or Syndra. Leona gives us 2 Aegis and helps deal with high health tanks like Mech Set or Brawlers. Urgot and Fiddle are both very strong units on their own, so you can usually throw them into any comp as the 9th unit. If you need more sustain, add in LeBlanc for 3 Hacker. Janna gives your team great bonuses and has a big AoE CC which can be very impactful in the late game. Syndra helps you cap out your board by throwing units in from your bench. If you play her, make sure to have strong CC units like Sejuani, Janna, Urgot, Fiddle, or Rammus on your bench. If you have leftover AD items, you can add in Aphelios and play him as a secondary carry. If you didn't make an anti-heal item, then add an Aesol because his ability applies that anti-heal reduction. General positioning with this comp looks like this. We always want to have Zed on the Hacker Hex to get him into the backline. Sejuani and the other frontliners are in the first row. Because of how the Prankster trait works, you can also frontline Zoe if needed. Against the first guy, the big threat is MF. Zed is sent to the MF and to the Vayne. Sejuani is positioned to stun the frontline and the MF with her spell. Our Echo is positioned to taunt the enemy Sejuani and to make her ult backwards. Yasuo is positioned to knock up the entire frontline. Against the second guy, the big threats are Aphelios and Samira. The Hacker and Zed are positioned to go next to Samira. Zoe and Echo are positioned to get focused first and trigger Prankster. Sejuani stuns the frontline Janna and has a good chance to stun the Samira too. Against the third guy, the big threat is Taliyah. Zed jumps on the backline, but not at an angle where he gets hit by Taliyah's spell. Zoe is positioned in the backline to draw aggro from the Taliyah ult. Sejuani is positioned to stun the frontline and most of the backline. Yasuo knocks up the entire frontline with a spell as well. Thank you so much for watching. If you learned something, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel. If you want cheat sheets for any of my comp guides, they're available for YouTube members and patrons, and links to those are down in the description. And if you want to get better at TFT, join the Discord. We got over 9,000 other players there who are hungry to climb. And if you want to get coached by me, the information is over on the Discord server as well. So take care and see you in the next video.